There's 6 dribble moves that you have to have if you want to be an effective player off the dribble. I'm going to show you what those moves are, some different ways to use them, and how you can master them. Plus I got a 7th thing that's going to help take all that next level and make you a much more confident player. First must-have move is not just the crossover, but the ability to do the crossover in a lot of different ways. The crossover is really versatile. So you want to work on doing the crossover. Basically, if you don't know what it is just swinging the ball from one hand to the other side to side. But there's a ton of things you can do with this. You can do more of a kill cross where you meet it down low. You can do one where you sell a fake and then cross over. You can do it on the run, make a quick sharp change of direction without putting that extra fake in. You could just be chilling out and all of a sudden cross over to explode to the basket if you see an opportunity. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that to work on it. Now, one quick drill that you can do to kind of help you get the feel for doing the crossover different ways is pretty unique, is number 1, a rhythm cross. So basically one hand's gonna stay down low and you're just gonna pop it across with almost like a kill dribble, but you're gonna pop it back up high, and then this hand's gonna stay more up high. So it's gonna look like this. Okay, popping it low, back up high. And every time, try to make that low dribble lower and that high dribble higher. Of course, you're gonna wanna rep this out both ways. The second drill is gonna help you develop a very good go-to move. It's the Iverson crossover. A lot of different players have different ways of doing it now, so it's kind of a variation of that, but it'll also help you work on your footwork. What you're gonna do is whichever hand has the ball, you're gonna step out. Sell a fake with the ball, hips, chest, lean into it. That'll help make it work more effectively in games. Crossover, okay? So out, crossover, step back in with that foot that just stepped out. Now the other foot steps out, and you're gonna do the same thing on the other side, sell that fake with the ball. So it's gonna look like a little shuffle here. Every time, work on making that crossover fake a little bit meaner, right? Stepping out harder, quicker, leaning into it a little more. And work on snapping that dribble hard every single time. If you're digging the video so far, make sure you smash that like button. Let's try to get this video to 2,000 likes. Second must-have dribble move, and I bet this is one you're overlooking, is the jab step. There's a lot of ways you can use the jab step that you're probably not thinking about right now. The bare bones basic version of it would be whichever hand is dribbling, you would step out with that opposite foot, and then the idea is to get your defender shifting this way. Again, like with your crossover when you're trying to sell a fake, lean into it a little bit. Use your eyes to sell that fake, right? From there, you want to step with that same foot across, so now you have protection over the basketball as you're going past your defender. So there's some key points to pay attention to, but this can be changed. You could also jab step with the same side foot, right? To sell a fake this way. And then from there you could go into your crossover, or you could hesitate and then go. A lot of different ways you can play around with that. Key point when you're jab stepping with the same side foot though, you wanna make sure you keep the ball behind you typically, because that's gonna give you protection over the basketball, okay? So think about keeping the ball in one place and the foot moves forward. And then the third type of jab step would be to have the other foot come across the body to sell a fake like you're gonna go hard to the basket. Okay, that's what a lot of players' first step looks like, is this. So you give them a jab step like that, a lot of times you'll get them to go flying. Now, some cool things you can do with this that you're probably not thinking of is you can come into it out of the crossover. Go right into it instead of doing it from a regular dribble. Putting the crossover in gives it a completely different look. That's something James Harden, Steve Nash used to do, real crafty type of move. And you can bring this into place also with other types of dribble moves that we're gonna get into, like the between the legs and things like that. So a lot of things you can do with this, very, very versatile. So to work on this, what I would recommend you do is what I just showed you. Kind of start playing around with doing with different moves, working on repping it out stationary, going to the basket. All those things can help you take it next level very quickly. One other more unique thing I like to do with players that help them really work on selling that jab step fake is to bring a cone in, or you can use a chair. The lower the object though, the more it's gonna really work on you selling your fake. And basically all you're gonna do is, whichever hand's dribbling, you're gonna step out with the opposite foot towards that cone or object. You could even put a shoe on the ground, or you could even try to touch the ground. But from there, you're just gonna step to touch it. The reason you wanna do that isn't because it looks cool and flashy on video, it's because that's gonna help you dip those shoulders down. Because when you drive to the basket, that's what your shoulders are gonna do. They're gonna come down so you can explode, keep the ball protected, all that stuff. So this is gonna make it a habit for you to sell a more realistic fake that's more likely to get your defender shifting that way. Next up is the inside out, or the in and out. Again, a very versatile move. You can use a lot of different ways. Key tips on it: whichever hand has the basketball comes over the top, pulls it back out. You wanna use that jab step that we just talked about to help sell that fake. Unless you're really tight to your defender, sometimes Kyrie will do this when he's close to his defender and there's not a lot of room to work with. He'll just kind of lean into the fake, keep his legs wide, and lean his shoulders in, like we talked about before with touching that cone, right? You wanna lean those shoulders in. So that's the more like basic 2 ways that you're gonna wanna do it, but again, it's versatile. You can use this a lot of different ways. Sometimes if there's a couple defenders here, players will use that in and out to kind of split that gap and throw the ball between there. You can use it more for a step back to pull the ball back. There's a lot of little tweaks you can make to it to help take it next level. Now what I'd recommend you do with this is play around with doing it in different ways. So what I mean by that is doing it with the footwork, doing it more wide and bringing it across more to really sell a big fake, doing it more tight, doing it more low, pulling it out to the side a little more, all that stuff. Getting comfortable with doing it in all kinds of different areas, positions, heights, speeds, all that. Just play around with it, spend a couple of minutes working on it, of course, with both hands. One thing I want to tell you that'll help you a ton too is if you work on this with your weak hand, I like to call it your ace hand because I like to think of it as your ace that you can count on, but if you work on it with that hand, you're gonna see some big improvements in your ability to control the basketball. Because if you can get that dribble down, I'm a lefty, if you can get that dribble down with your offhand that you're not used to dribbling with as much, that's gonna really help improve your confidence and your control over the basketball. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if there's anything else you wanna see from the channel, anything you're trying to work on in your game. I'll try to get you a video ASAP if I'm getting enough comments on that thing. Next up's the behind the back. This is a move that used to be considered like really flashy and fancy, but I think coaches are starting to realize more and more nowadays that it's a must-have move because it allows you to get past your defender when you're real close and you don't have the room to get the crossover off because your defender's too tight. Now you can protect the basketball, have the space to move the basketball by going behind your back. Now what you want to keep in mind with this is there's actually 2 different ways to do your behind the back. Well, kind of 3. The first is more a flat back. So basically when your feet are stationary and you're just pushing it more side to side. The second way is gonna be more of a 1-2 step or a shuffle or what I call a wrap behind the back. Now you can kind of mix elements of the flat back with the wrap one. The wrap one though, typically what I tell players is when you're doing the flat back one, slap the same side butt. So if my left hand's doing the dribble, I would slap my left side of my butt and the right hand, I would slap the right side of my butt. Okay, it might sound funny, but it'll keep that dribble consistent. Now, if you're gonna do more of a wrap one, you wanna push the ball more forward. This is one you'll see Curry do quite a bit, sometimes Kyrie, Jamal Crawford, to get into gaps or to do it more on the run. Sometimes Curry will see a wide open space in the floor in the middle of the lane and he'll just kind of almost throw it out behind the back ahead of him and chase down the ball. What you wanna do with that is slap the opposite side butt, okay? Boom, just like that. Now, there's 2 different ways you can do the footwork with this. Number 1, you can, whichever hand is dribbling, step with that foot first to protect the basketball. So if you're my defender, now I got protection here, right? With my leg, okay? So that's the 1-2 step. The shuffle is like what it sounds. It's a shuffle, almost like a defensive shuffle, but going forward. So it'd be like this, okay? So I still wrap it across, but I'm moving my body to keep my body in front of the basketball so you as the defender can't get to it, right? All right? And then the other way, that's a slight tweak. Sometimes you'll see players do that flat back, but put that defensive shuffle side to side in there to kind of mix between the 2. So those are the 3, kind of 4 different ways of doing the behind the back. Now to get it down, what I'm gonna recommend you do is work on repping out 1, 2, and then on the 3rd one, do a wrap, okay? And then I want you to do this going down the court. If you don't have the space to work with, just go as far as you can and then retreat back and repeat. But it would look like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, every 3rd dribble is gonna be a wrap. So every time you're going forward, left or right with a different wrap dribble, that's gonna help you get down both the different types of the behind the back. If that's too tough for you because you're more of a beginner, just start off by repping out 1 dribble behind the back, 1 dribble behind the back, working on the regular, and then work on 1 dribble, wrap forward, 1 dribble, wrap forward, to get that one down. And then the more you get the feel for those, then try working on that first drill I gave you. Next one is again a dribble that used to be considered more flashy, now it's more common, and I consider this to be a must-have, and I think a lot of coaches would agree, and it's between the legs. Now there's 2 main ways you can do the between the legs. Again, I'm gonna show you a couple different footwork things though with it. But as far as the dribble motion, there's more of the lunge stance, so 1 foot's a little more forward or slightly forward, depends on the game situation. That one's gonna be really good for attacking and going to the basket. And then the second one, kind of like the behind the back, there's the flat back one. This one's kind of like that, or your feet are more stationary and you're gonna kind of pull the ball back to get the ball away from the defender, set up, and see what your next best option is from there. Now for both of these, you can kind of go into them different ways. You can go into it more upright and then splitting your feet apart either that way or this way, or you could do it where the opposite foot steps out. Typically, you'll use that more that lunge stance type of one where you're trying to attack or sell a fake, okay? Now, a couple different things you want to keep in mind. Again, the between the legs is very versatile. A lot of things you can do with it. You could go between the legs to attack quick, but this same either dropping down or stepping in this lunge position is going to be also good for selling a fake and coming back the other way, or even going into a step back. You could also do a lot of different things with this setup dribble as far as going into different fakes and things like that. One simple thing you can do to work on this is stepping out with the opposite foot, kind of in that lunge stance, to go between the legs, bring this leg square, pull the ball back. Same thing, repeat, okay? So make sure you hold yourself accountable with your steps on this though. You don't want it to be this. Okay, that's doing all lunge steps. We want to do the first one to go into the lunge step, second one to come square and pull the ball back. So this one we're pushing forward, pulling back. Forward, pulling back. And then of course you'd want to repeat this going the other way. So lunging forward, pulling back. Forward, pulling back. Now if that's a little bit too hard for you, just add an extra dribble in between between the legs. So it would be here, between, here, between, here, between, here, between, okay? Again, pay attention to those steps though. Big step, little step. Big step, little step. All right, before I get into the thing to take all this stuff next level, the sixth move is gonna be the step back. So the step back, you can do a couple different ways, but basically the idea is that you're just covering ground, coming back more with a regular type of dribble. Again, like we talked earlier, you could do like an inside out, kind of bring that into the mix with it, but the idea is that you're coming back, creating space. Typically for this, I like to come back and try to land on both feet at the same time, but there might be certain instances where landing one foot before the other might be good, because then you can just come from that step and go right into a change of direction. But I like the 2 foot land, so that way I have my options of which foot I want to go into something from there. So some things to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is this is a great way to set up shots by jabbing in, bringing that jab step in, and then going directly into that shot. Almost every time you'll be able to get that shot off if you sell that fake well. And then one final thing to keep in mind is you can also use it not more of a step back, but like a retreat dribble, just to create some separation, give yourself some space, some room to work with, and protect the basketball. So one thing you can do to take this next level that I like to do is work on my ability to cover more ground. So something you can do is use 2 lines on the court or set up some cones just as markers to kind of see where you're at, and go on that step back and see how far back you can land. Now, key point on this is you don't want to hop high. We want to try to make this a quick move so you get your feet back on the ground. So try to get your feet low to the ground on this step back, right? So I'm jumping far, but I'm still keeping my feet low to the ground. But that's one thing you can do to work on being able to create more separation from that step back. And that's going to make it so you have more space for that shot. Or if your defender tries to close out from you from there, they're going to have to come from all the way back there, close out. So they have to get some momentum going. They do that, it's going to be really easy to come back the other way while they're going that way, and you have a good chance of beating them. Now, being more confident in these moves and taking them all next level is a very simple thing, but it takes practice. You can't be confident in these moves if it's basically just, I have this move, right? I can go between the legs, and then after that, I got nothing. It's hard to be confident then because you're basically trying to do that move and you're relying on it to work, and if it doesn't, you're pretty much done. You're gonna get freaked out or not know what to do from there. So you have to start working on counter moves. Now, the simple thing you can do is just work on bringing these different moves from this video together, okay? So it could be, between the legs into a step back. Could be between the legs into an in and out. Could be between the legs into the crossover, okay? Starting from another move, we could go behind the back into a crossover. We could go from the behind the back into an in and out, okay? All these different moves I'm giving you in this video can be pretty much brought together. Just think about the game situations of the individual moves and how and when you do them. When you combo them together, the same keys are gonna apply. You just are doing them one after the other. So when you're working on these combo moves, one thing I'm gonna recommend you do is think about game situations. If I go from behind the back, more of a wrap one, what's gonna happen? What's my defender gonna do? And then thinking about that, then you'll be able to start to think, okay, what's a good combo move to go in from there? Now, if this seems like a hard concept to get down or you don't have an understanding of it or don't know what to do, make sure you click that subscribe button and get on the notification squad for my channel so you can catch my newest videos, because I'm breaking down a lot of different combos, showing you different ways to do them, different times to use them, and all that stuff. So if you don't really know what to do when or don't know what moves to combo together, I got you covered on my channel. Also, make sure you click this link right here. That's a 100% free workout called the Defender Destroyer workout. Just click that link, pop in your email, and I'll send that workout to you for free. It'll do what it says, help you destroy more defenders. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you check out this one, and check out this one. You'll probably like those as well. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and make moves today.